the galactic boast in the grand hall of the Zorath Dominion. Thousands of alien leaders gathered, their armored bodies shining under the glow of blue crystals. The air was filled with pride, arrogance, and endless laughter. They had won yet another war, crushing a smaller starfaring race within weeks. The Zorath Dominion was feared across the galaxy, and tonight they celebrated their power. The High Commander stood tall at the center of the hall, his voice echoing through the chamber. "We are the masters of war," he shouted, raising his clawed hand. "No fleet can match ours. No enemy dares to stand against us. Our technology, our armies, our firepower, unbeatable." The crowd roared. Cheers shook the crystal walls. The commanders beat their armored chests with pride. Stories spread of the Dominion's past victories. They had burned planets, enslaved species, and forced countless civilizations into silence. Whenever resistance rose, it was quickly crushed under their fleets. The aliens truly believed war belonged to them, that no species could ever outfight them. At the edge of the hall, some younger officers whispered among themselves. "Do you think any species can still challenge us?" One asked, his scaled face filled with curiosity. "Impossible," another replied with confidence. "We have fought for thousands of years. We have perfected war. We are war itself." The words of arrogance carried across the chamber. Yet, in the shadows of the galaxy, something stirred, something unknown. The celebration continued for hours. Soldiers raised cups of glowing drink, commanders told tales of battle, and musicians played victory songs. To them, the galaxy was theirs to command. Every new planet they conquered was proof of their eternal supremacy. But outside the Dominion's borders, rumors spread. Traders spoke in hushed tones of strange movements in distant sectors. Some whispered of human ships, primitive, small, and not worth notice. Others claimed these humans had built something were different. Back in the hall, the Supreme Admiral raised his voice. "Even if there is such a race, they cannot challenge us. We rule with fleets that stretch across the stars. Our dreadnoughts can destroy moons. Our armies can take worlds in a single cycle. Who can stand against us?" The crowd erupted again, laughter louder than ever. The aliens mocked the very idea of resistance. They mocked the weak. But far away, in the black silence of deep space, a signal pulsed. A single massive vessel drifted slowly, steady and patient. Its dark hull was scarred, but its design was unmatched. This was not a fleet of thousands. It was not an empire's grand armada. It was one ship, one human battleship. The aliens did not know it yet. They drank and laughed in their hall, blind to the storm moving toward them. For centuries, they believed war was theirs alone to master. But they were about to learn a truth the galaxy would never forget. War was not their domain. War had found a new master, and the humans were coming. The distant signal, the vast darkness of space stretched silent, endless and cold. Stars glittered in the distance, and between them machines drifted, scouts of the Zorath Dominion. They were small ships, built only for searching and scanning, their purpose simple: to find threats before those threats reached Dominion territory. For centuries, the scanners had found nothing dangerous, only weak signals, only desperate species trying to hide from the Dominion's power. The Zorath scouts always returned with the same message: no threat exists. But this time, something different appeared. The lead scout, piloted by a young alien officer named Kareth, picked up an energy reading deep in uncharted space. At first, he thought it was a mistake. The reading was massive, too massive for a single ship, too focused to be a nebula or star. He called to his crew. "Check the sensors again. Adjust the frequency. This can't be real." His crew obeyed, adjusting the scanning beams. The signal sharpened clearer than before. It was not an asteroid. It was not a star. It was something built, something moving. Kareth narrowed his reptilian eyes. "A ship," he whispered. The others laughed nervously. "Impossible. No ship is that large. Maybe a drifting station?" "Stations don't move," Kareth replied quietly. He felt his claws tighten on the console. The reading showed motion. Slow, deliberate, powerful. Whatever it wasn't hiding. It wasn't weak. Word spread quickly. The signal report was sent to the nearest command fleet, then to the Dominion High Command. Within hours, the War Council gathered again. But this time there was no laughter, only murmurs. The holographic display flickered, showing a faint outline of the object. A colossal shape, like a mountain floating through space. It was not shaped, like Dominion ships nor any known species in their records. Its hull looked scarred, patched with strange markings as if it had survived countless battles. One commander scoffed. "This is nothing, a trick perhaps. Some dying species built a massive shell to scare us." But another commander leaned forward, his voice sharp. "Look again. The energy core is not like anything we've seen. And the weapons. Look at the weapon signatures." The room grew quiet. The readings displayed weapons larger than any the Dominion had built, cannons that could tear through planets. The ship carried enough firepower to challenge an entire fleet, yet it was only one vessel. The Supreme Admiral hissed, breaking the silence. "What species dares to build this?" A junior officer answered, his voice trembling. "The humans, Admiral. They call themselves humans." The hall erupted in disbelief. Laughter, shouts, mockery filled the chamber again. "Humans?" one general barked. "Primitive traders, fragile bodies, no great fleets. They are not even a threat to a Dominion patrol." "They are nothing," another agreed. "This is a rumor given shape." But not everyone laughed. A few older warlords studied the readings with unease. "They were quiet for a long time," one muttered. "Perhaps too quiet." As debates raged, more reports arrived. Other scouts confirmed the same signal, the same ship, moving steadily, closer to Dominion borders. Not fast, not hidden, almost as if it wanted to be seen. The council demanded answers. Why would humans send only one ship? "Because," whispered Kareth, the scout who had first seen the signal, "maybe one is enough." The words were drowned by more arguments, but in the minds of a few commanders a seed of doubt had been planted. The Dominion always fought numbers, fleets against fleets, armies against armies. They had never faced a single ship that looked like this. That night, while the council argued, the human battleship continued its slow approach. Its engines glowed faintly, its hull shimmering in the starlight. It did not rush, it did not hide. It moved with the calm of a predator that knows it cannot be stopped. Inside Dominion space, rumors spread like fire. Soldiers whispered in their barracks. Civilians listened to forbidden broadcasts. Some laughed and called it a myth. Others prayed silently, afraid the myth was real. But one thing was certain. The Dominion's endless arrogance had been cracked. For the first time in generations, their mighty empire felt something it had almost forgotten. Fear, and the signal kept coming. The Dominion's High Council chamber was carved from black stone, older than most of the stars their empire ruled. The walls rose high, decorated with banners of past victories. Each banner showed a conquered world, each symbol a reminder of their strength. For centuries, the chamber echoed with pride and arrogance. But tonight, the sound was different. Tonight, the walls echoed with fear. The Supreme Admiral slammed his claw on the table. The hologram flickered again, showing the outline of the mysterious ship. It glowed like a silent monster, its hull dark and scarred, yet alive with hidden power. "Explain this," the Admiral growled, his voice sharp like metal. "One ship? And already my scouts whisper like frightened hatchlings." The council members shifted uncomfortably. None wanted to speak first. Finally, a warlord with bronze scales stood. His voice was steady, but his tail twitched with unease. "The readings are true, Admiral. Multiple scouts confirmed. The humans, they have built something beyond our records. This ship is not weak. It carries the power of a fleet." The chamber buzzed with disbelief. One commander leaned forward, his eyes narrowed. "Humans? Those soft-skinned traitors? They do not even fight in our wars. They are weak, fragile. They cannot build such a thing." But the hologram did not lie. The weapons, the shields, the strange energy patterns. It was all there, clear for every eye to see. The Supreme Admiral hissed. Then why send only one? If they wanted war, where's their fleet? A silence followed. No one had an answer. In the back of the chamber, the scout officer Kareth spoke, his voice hesitant but clear. Maybe one ship is all they need. The words dropped like stones, in water. The chamber froze. Dozens of alien eyes turned toward him, filled with both anger and fear. You dare suggest one ship could challenge us? Barked a general. Kareth lowered his head, but his voice did not shake. I saw it. I studied the readings. That vessel is not like ours. It is not built for defense. It is built for war. Every part of it is a weapon. The council erupted into noise. Some laughed, trying to drown their fear in mockery. Others shouted for silence. The admiral raised his hand and the hall grew still again. Fear makes fools of us all, the admiral said coldly. Yes, the humans built something unusual, but we are the Dominion. We have crushed empires greater than theirs. We will crush them too. But even as he spoke, the unease spread. The older warlords remembered something the younger ones ignored. Humans had always been quiet, watching, learning. They were not a species that shouted or boasted. They worked in silence, and when they acted, it was decisive. One warlord leaned forward, his voice heavy with warning. Admiral, I once fought against a small band of humans decades ago. We thought they were nothing, farmers with rifles. Yet they held the line for days against superior forces. Their will to fight was unnatural. They do not break. The chamber grew tense again. Memories of humans resisting slavery, resisting conquest, resisting even when outnumbered came to mind. The Dominion had dismissed those stories as meaningless. But now, with this ship moving closer, those stories felt like warnings. A female general hissed. Then what are you saying? That this one ship can defeat the Dominion? That our fleets, our dreadnoughts mean nothing? The warlord's eyes burned. I am saying this. The humans may have built a ship that changes war itself. If we ignore this, it may already be too late. The admiral rose, his voice echoing. Enough. We will not bow to fear. Send a fleet. Test this human vessel. Show the galaxy that the Dominion fears nothing. The council roared with approval, but it was forced approval, shaky and loud to cover their doubts. Deep inside, every commander felt it, the shadow of fear pressing down on them. As the council ended, Kareth lingered, staring at the hologram of the human ship. He whispered to himself, unheard by others. It is not the Dominion that will test the humans, he said softly. It is the humans who will test us. And far beyond Dominion borders, in the silence of space, the human battleship drifted, closer. Its massive engines burned faintly, steady as a heartbeat. No words, no warnings, only quiet movement. The council thought they would face it with strength. But what waited for them was not a battle of fleets. It was the arrival of a predator. The Dominion fleet gathered at the edge of their territory. Dozens of cruisers, carriers, and dreadnoughts stood in formation, their silver hulls shining under the starlight. For centuries, this sight had terrified entire civilizations. To the Dominion, it was proof of their endless power. To others, it was a nightmare. At the center of the command ship, Admiral Vector watched the displays with cold eyes. His voice carried across the bridge. The human vessel approaches, he said. We will teach these creatures a lesson. One ship cannot challenge an empire. The officers nodded, their faces full of confidence. Yet beneath that confidence, a small seed of fear remained. The signal kept coming, steady and strong. The mysterious ship did not slow. It did not turn away. It came forward as if it owned. The stars. Target it, the admiral ordered. The fleet spread into attack formation. Their cannons charged, their missile bays opened. The Dominion's war machine was ready. And then out of the black it appeared. The human battleship drifted into view, massive and silent. Its hull was black like stone, broken with scars of old battles, Strange symbols ran along its sides, glowing faintly. Its engines burned with steady light, calm and patient. For a long moment no one spoke. Even the proud Dominion officers felt their breath catch. The ship looked alive, like a beast born from war itself. The admiral broke the silence with a hiss. Fire. The Dominion unleashed their first strike. Beams of plasma shot across the void, bright rivers of energy tearing through space. Missiles roared, cutting through the darkness, leaving trails of light. The fleet poured its fury into one target. The blasts hit the human ship. Explosions lit the void, fire and smoke spreading across the black hull. For a moment, the Dominion bridge cheered, the officers grinned. "Direct hit," one shouted. "The vessel is finished." But then the fire cleared, and the human battleship still stood. The damage was small, surface-level scars on its dark armor. The ship moved forward without slowing, its massive guns turning, its hull glowing brighter as if waking from slumber. On the Dominion bridge, silence replaced celebration. The admiral's jaw tightened. Impossible. A deep hum filled the void, a sound that made the very stars seem to tremble. The human ship powered its weapons. One by one, its cannons locked onto Dominion targets. And then it fired. The first blast tore through a Dominion cruiser. The ship exploded instantly, split into burning fragments. The second shot hit a destroyer, ripping it in half. Within seconds, two mighty vessels were gone, destroyed by a single volley. The Dominion officers froze. The human ship fired again. This time, its beams sliced through three smaller escorts at once, cutting them apart like paper. Shields failing, Dominion captains cried across comms. "We can't stop it, it's weapons and they're too strong." The human battleship did not rush. It did not spray fire wildly. Every shot was precise, calm, perfect. Each time it fired, another Dominion vessel vanished into flame. On the command ship, panic spread. "Admiral, what are your orders?" The admiral gritted his teeth, fury burning inside him. "Send the entire fleet, swarm it, overwhelm it." Dozens of Dominion ships surged forward, missiles and plasma filling the void. The space between stars turned into a storm of fire. But still the human battleship advanced. Its shields glowed bright, absorbing the chaos, and its cannons continued their slow, terrifying rhythm. One shot. Another Dominion ship gone. 2 shots. Another dreadnought reduced to fire. 3 shots. Carriers fell, spilling wreckage into the void. The Dominion fleet screamed in confusion. "It's impossible. One ship cannot destroy us all." But the proof was in front of their eyes. Their mighty armada, their proud fleet, was being unmade piece by a single predator. Inside the human battleship, the crew sat calm and steady. No voices shouted, no panic filled the air. The captain stood tall, eyes fixed on the battlefield. His voice was calm, almost cold. "Target the next wave," he ordered. "Show them what war truly means." And the ship obeyed. From the Dominion's perspective, it was like fighting a force of nature. No matter how much firepower they poured into it, the battleship endured. No matter how many ships they sent, it cut them down. Fear spread like wildfire. The once proud commanders screamed over comms. Some ships broke formation and fled, only to be picked off one by one. The battle that was supposed to be a lesson for humans had turned into a nightmare for the Dominion. On the command ship, the admiral's hands shook. He had fought countless wars. He had seen empires fall, but never had he seen one ship tear apart a fleet like this. This cannot be real, he whispered. But it was real, and it was only the beginning. The Dominion fleet was burning. Where once dozens of warships had stood proud in the dark of space, now only wreckage floated. Fires burned on broken hulls. Lifeless bodies drifted in silence. The survivors screamed on open channels, begging for orders, begging for hope, and, through that chaos, the human battleship moved forward, silent as a predator. On the Dominion command ship, Admiral Vector's scales shivered. His claws dug into the arm of his command chair. He had seen defeats before, but never like this, never by one ship. His officers looked at him with fear. waiting for orders he no longer had the strength to give. Then the speakers cracked. A voice, deep and calm, filled every Dominion channel. It cut through static, through fire, through screams. "This is Captain Elias Ward of the Terran battleship Resolute," the human said. His tone was steady, almost cold. "You claimed to master war. You told the galaxy you were unbeatable. I am here to test that claim." The Dominion bridge froze. Even the admiral, who prided himself on never showing fear, felt his chest tighten. The voice was not shouting. It was not mocking. It was calm. Too calm. That calmness felt heavier than any threat. Across the surviving Dominion ships, officers stared at their screens, their scales crawling with unease. Many had never even heard a human's voice before. They expected rage, arrogance, pride. But this voice carried none of those things. It carried certainty. Captain Ward continued. "Your fleets burn, your weapons fail. Still you throw ships at me as if numbers matter. But war is not about numbers. War is about will, and humanity's will does not break." On the Dominion command ship, one officer whispered, "It sounds like a machine." "No," another replied, voice trembling. "It sounds like truth." The admiral slammed his fist on the console, desperate to break the fear spreading across his crew. "It is only word," he roared. "Humans are nothing. Fire again." But even his voice cracked with doubt. Outside, Dominion ships obeyed, launching one last desperate wave of plasma and missiles. The void lit with fire again. And again the human battleship endured. Shields shimmered. Hull plating burned and healed. The Resolute did not fall. Then it answered. A single volley ripped through 6 Dominion ships at once. Another shot followed, erasing a dreadnought in seconds. And over the burning wreckage, Captain Ward's voice spoke again, cold and steady. "Do you feel it now? The weight of true war? It does not matter how many ships you have. It does not matter how long you've fought. You built your empire on fear. But fear breaks. It always breaks." Silence filled the Dominion command ship. Even the admiral could not find his words. His officers lowered their heads. On smaller Dominion vessels, panic spread like fire. Some captains ordered retreat. Others shut down weapons, surrendering before the human battleship even demanded it. Soldiers who once called themselves masters of war now trembled like prey. Captain Ward's final words echoed through the comms, chilling every listener. "You thought war belonged to you. You thought no one could challenge you. But war is not yours to master. War belongs to those who can endure it. And humanity endures everything." The channel cut. The silence that followed was worse than the battle itself. Dominion officers stared at each other, feeling the weight of the human's words more than the weight of his guns. For centuries they had claimed to own war. But in a single night, one human ship, one human voice, had torn that illusion apart. On the command bridge, Admiral Vector finally sank into his chair. His claws trembled. For the first time in his long career, he whispered words he never thought he would speak. "We are not the masters of war." And far beyond, the Terran battleship continued forward, engines burning steady, leaving behind nothing but wreckage and silence. The galaxy was listening, and the galaxy was afraid. Shattered pride, the once proud Dominion fleet was reduced to fragments. Where banners of victory once flew, now only burning wreckage floated in space. The silence was heavy, broken only by the faint cries of damaged ships calling for rescue. On the Dominion command ship, Admiral Vector sat frozen. His scales, once polished and gleaming, now seemed dull under the flickering lights of the failing bridge. His officers no longer looked at him with respect. They looked at him with questions, with fear, with doubt. "How?" one whispered. "How can one ship do this?" No one answered. For centuries, the Dominion had ruled by terror. They crushed planets, enslaved species, and silenced rebellions with overwhelming fleets. They believed fear itself was their greatest weapon. But now, the weapon had turned against them. Their fear was no longer something they gave. It was something they felt. The memory of Captain Ward's voice still haunted the halls. His calm words had sliced deeper than any cannon. He had not shouted. He had not boasted. He had spoken like a man who knew that victory was already his. The younger officers whispered among themselves. Maybe the humans were never weak. Maybe they were waiting, building, preparing. If this is just one ship, how many more do they have? Each question shattered the Dominion's pride further. Admiral Vector rose suddenly, slamming his claw against the console. "Silence!" he roared, though his voice cracked. "We are the Dominion, we do not fear. This human ship is an accident, nothing more. A trick of luck, of stolen technology." But even as he spoke, he could see the disbelief in his officers' eyes. His words felt empty, weak, fragile. One commander finally stood, his bronze armor dented from the earlier battle. His voice was low but steady. "Admiral, with respect, the Dominion has always claimed to master war. But tonight, war has shown us its true master, and it is not us." The words cut the Admiral like a blade. Pride, once unshakable, cracked into dust. Far beyond the council halls, across Dominion territory, the story spread. Survivors of the battle told their tale in hushed tones. Civilians whispered of a ship that could not be destroyed, a ship commanded by humans who did not break. Markets buzzed with rumors. Smugglers told stories in shadowed bars. The legend of the human battleship was growing faster than any fleet could travel. On conquered worlds, slaves of the Dominion began to hope. They spoke quietly in the dark. If one human ship can do this, maybe the Dominion can fall. Hope was dangerous. Hope was more powerful than any weapon. And hope was spreading. In the council chamber on the Dominion capital, leaders argued fiercely. Some demanded revenge, calling for fleets to unite and crush the humans. Others whispered that war against such a power was suicide. The arguments grew louder. Claws slammed against tables. Voices roared. But deep inside, even the loudest voices of war carried doubt. The Dominion's pride, their belief in eternal dominance, had been broken. Meanwhile, the Resolute moved forward. Silent and unstoppable, Captain Ward stood on his bridge, eyes calm, face unreadable. His crew worked with precision, no fear in their voices. To them, the battle was not victory. It was a warning. They thought they ruled war, Ward said quietly to his officers. Now they know the truth, and the galaxy will remember it. The Dominion, once drunk on arrogance, now staggered like a wounded beast. Their fleets still existed. Their armies still marched. Their banners still flew. But inside, their spirit was broken. And every soldier, every commander, every ruler asked themselves the same question. If one human battleship could do this, what would happen if more arrived? The answer was too heavy to speak. So the Dominion remained silent, their pride shattered, their future uncertain. And in that silence, the humans advanced. The final silence. The battlefield drifted in darkness now. Where once the Dominion fleet had roared with power, only silence remained. Wreckage floated endlessly. Broken hulls, shattered wings, lifeless bodies turning slowly in the cold. Fires flickered here and there, but even those were fading. The Resolute moved through the wreckage like a shadow. Its black hull absorbed the starlight, its scars glowing faintly. Every piece of debris it passed was a reminder of the storm it had unleashed. Yet the ship did not slow. It moved steadily, like a predator that had already claimed its kill and was ready for more. On the Dominion command ship, what few officers remained alive sat in stunned silence. Admiral Vector leaned forward in his chair, his eyes fixed on the human battleship. His chest felt heavy, his pride broken. He had commanded victories across 100 systems, but nothing in his long career had prepared him for this. His calm officer trembled as she whispered, "Admiral, they are hailing us." The Admiral's throat tightened. His pride told him to ignore it, but fear made him nod. "Put it through." The voice of Captain Elias Ward filled the chamber again. Calm, cold, steady. "This battle is over," Ward said. "You told the galaxy that war was yours. But tonight, war has judged you, and you have been found wanting." The words struck harder than cannon fire. Not one Dominion officer dared reply. Ward continued, "Tell your leaders, tell your fleets, humanity does not seek war, but if war comes to us, we do not break. Remember this silence. Remember this wreckage. Remember what one ship did." The channel cut. For a long moment, the Dominion bridge was completely quiet. No orders, no protest, only silence. The silence of defeat. The silence of shattered arrogance. Outside, the Resolute turned slowly, its engines burning steady. Without another word, it left the battlefield behind. It did not chase the survivors. It did not need to. The message had already been delivered. Across the Dominion whispers became roars. On conquered worlds, the enslaved began to dream of freedom. Smugglers and traders carried the story faster than light. One human battleship destroyed a Dominion fleet. One human captain shattered the masters of war. Hope spread like fire. Fear spread even faster. In the Grand Council halls of the Dominion capital, leaders shouted in panic. Some demanded vengeance, calling for fleets to regroup. Others whispered, for peace, terrified of what more humans might unleash. None could ignore the truth anymore. Their pride had been broken. Their title of Masters of War was gone. On the bridge of the Resolute, Captain Ward stood silently, his hands clasped behind his back. His crew moved quietly around him, each station working in perfect calm. To them, this was not victory. It was duty. Ward looked at the stars ahead, his face unreadable. "They will tell stories about this," he said softly. "Let them. Stories can be more powerful than weapons." His first officer nodded. "And now the galaxy knows, Captain. The humans are not weak." Ward's eyes hardened. "No, they never were. They just waited until the time was right." The Resolute disappeared into the black, its silhouette swallowed by starlight, leaving only silence behind. Generations later, the story would still be told. The night when the proud Dominion met one human ship. The night when arrogance met endurance. The night when the galaxy learned that war did not belong to the Dominion. It belonged to humanity. And in that final silence, the truth echoed across every star.